All right, welcome back. This week is actually you're reading that right. We are actually outperforming. So basically from negative 20%, and now we're up 0.55%. So a really good week. And the good thing was, the hold that I was holding had a big gain on Monday, and then from Tuesday to Friday, I basically just used my regular strategy, but I went all in on those trades, and then those trades did go out well, so then recovered almost 3% exactly each day, which is a lot, and then that happened for 4 days straight, which had never happened to me before, so. And I kind of had a good amount of luck that it has fallen so much so quickly. Um, Now I have around 3 weeks to basically going back to the 40-60%. So right now 60% is going to be non-leverage with 40% leverage. And we're basically going back to the strat that I had since September, or mostly the portfolio that I had since September up till around December, that area, or really around the last, when I started this, after I think a couple weeks ago, right? Because during when I fell a bunch, that was mostly because I was all in on some natural gas plays, and those didn't go out so well. So and now I was able to recover it with the regular strategy. So yeah, let's continue. So you can see that this recovery high is really good. I was not expecting it to happen this quickly. And the good thing is, it happened, so I just took advantage of that, and then we kept on going. So this is really good. I mean, we had a 10% jump the first day. It was holding IWM negative 3x. And then right when it was the negative 10%, I sold most of it. I'm like, 10% gain is already really good in the first week. So I was kind of just on the edge right there, and then I picked up on some good gains on Tuesday, and then Wednesday I got it again, Thursday, and then finally on Friday. I was basically doing the same thing over and over again because it was just so easy to make money. So then basically I just did that, and then we kept on rising really well. If you imagine that this part wouldn't even have happened, we'd probably be around 10%. So that's why going into other stuff isn't really too good. Yeah, so right now I'm just gonna keep it only to the stuff I normally trade, which is basically Nasdaq, SPY, some tech related ETFs, semiconductor stuff, the Russell 2000. Been going into that recently. So yeah. The good thing is I was able to recover. Here at one point we were down like negative 22%. So last week when I decided to do the hold, my idea was to basically just hold on out because it's not gonna move. It's not gonna IWM won't drop around 5% in a day or something like that. But it ended up dropping around 3%, and then it ended up dropping quite a lot during this week. So when that happened, basically I just took profits on the first day, and if you're down around 20% and you gain 20%, you'll still be negative. You'll probably be around -1, -2% negative. So we're actually positive. I gained around 25% this week, and we're up 0.5%. So I lost 20%, but I've had to gain 25%. That's because when you lose money, you have to recover it with less money. So the good thing is we're overall net positive, and we are outperforming, which is important. So right now, kind of just take it easy. I want to try to go back to what I've always been doing this since when I started this, which was a 40-60 combo, which is basically 60% non-leveraged or cash, and then you have 40% leverage. So my idea right now is basically, try to get. I mean, my idea before was just to try to even get here would be really good. So, if I want to go the easy route, I could just buy SPY and always be outperforming by around, I think right now, 0.5% or something. Be outperforming by that, and then I can end out outperforming, and that would decrease my standard deviation, which is what I want to do. So, that's one way, and I thought about it a lot. So I think what I'll probably most likely do is buy 60% SPY, and that 40% I'll try to get some edge, and because that's what I would normally have done. So I want to still see if that has a good if my regular strategy still has an edge. I did use my regular strategy over here to gain these 4%, 3%. However, I was just going, instead of using 40% leverage, I was going 100% leverage. So, you can see here, these days are really easy, or it was very identifiable to make money. So you kind of just took advantage of that. I don't think it's going to happen very often, but for now on we are strictly at a 40-60. So yeah, I mean, I kind of lost the money by going into stuff I didn't really know, and then now we covered it with the usual. But yeah, so really good. Hit 25.14. You can see first day was around 10%, and then it was straight line basically up. So we have Nasdaq. Nasdaq is actually the worst indicator right now. We're outperforming by quite a bit, Nasdaq. So when I said before in other videos, Nasdaq tends to drop more than SPY, but goes up or grows higher in rallies. So you can see right now the week performance was just 21.14%, which is a lot. Nasdaq went down -3.2, which is also a lot, and we outperformed 5 out of 5 days. So I think this is one of the first weeks, maybe the second week, that I've outperformed 5 out of 5, and that's kind of a rare occurrence. But this is really good, incredible. And then over here we actually increased our performance days by 9%, 9.2%. And I mean, we're looking, my goal is to get around 50 around there, so we're looking to get there. I mean, and then here we have the overall, so right now around -2, and we're up 0.55. So we're already doing really well. I was hoping getting here end of March, and we are already here the week. So I have around 2-3 more weeks. I think 3 more weeks to maybe try to go a little higher, but no more pressure as before. Here you have the S&P, so we're barely on top of it, as you can see, but it hasn't fallen as much. So the S&P to -3.08, which is a lot for the S&P. We also outperformed 5 out of 5 days. And then this also increased by 9%, so we're at 42.1. So we're getting closer to that 50% mark. Now the S&P isn't negative yet overall, but it's very, very close to. So we're outperforming by basically 0.49. I mean, what I said before, right? I could hold it, and then I'd theoretically always be outperforming by 0.49. I could do that. That is an option. And that's why I'm thinking what I'm going to do is 60% hold, and then have that 40% where I actually test my idea and trade to see if I have an edge there. I think that's probably the best option. And then here you have the Dow Jones. So the Dow Jones has fallen the least amount, which is interesting. It's quite high, but we're very close in closing the gap. -2.3% this week, and again 5 out of 5, very good. Also increased by 9%, and here you can see we're only around 2% underperforming, so that's not too much. But this means that Dow Jones still has room to fall, so we might see that the markets can still fall. There's still quite a bit to fall, so we'll see how low Dow Jones gets. They could also go back up the most. We'll see. Over here you have all three of them. So here we got Nasdaq, then we got SPY, and Dow Jones. So we already beat 2 of them. We have 1 more. My goal is to beat SPY here. So we're already doing that, and now it's kind of just relax and lower our standard deviation, because our standard deviation is quite high at the moment. It's around 2.14%. So, and that's since September. So it's 2% a day basically since September is our standard deviation. And my goal is to decrease that, right? So yeah. And then here we actually increased by 0.61% our daily percent gain. So here, I mean, that's mostly because of here you had the 10% gain, exactly, almost 10%, and then you had 3%. So that's a lot. Almost 3.6, 313, 302. So it's still really good. Yeah. Here you have each day. So Monday was great, Tuesday was great. Here Wednesday, most of the time we're short, but Wednesday ended up being good because morning kind of fell a lot, and then gained that, and then just left. Then again on Thursday, great. On Friday, great. So this is like a perfect example of what I want it to be, right? You take advantages of during the day, and you just you go in and out once, you take advantage of that move, and then you just leave it. So we're finally kind of catching up to green to red days. It's not great, but I think if we have 2 or 3 more weeks, this can probably close a bit more. So our mean profitable trades increased by a lot, and this is mostly because what I've been doing has been or for the other trades is that when I say 100% in into the leverage, what I kind of mean was that I'm going, 20% in, then I'm adding another 20%, and then I might be adding a final 60%. And so those trades add up, and then they're all different trades, right? And I close them all at the same price. So those 3 times where I added onto it, they're counted as a trade during the day. So then, I end up being with 3 day trades. Normally, I would sometimes just go with how much I'm allocated to that leverage. I just go all into that. So sometimes, normally if I'm doing 40%, I'd probably most likely go directly in 40% and not do 10, 10, 10 or 20, 20. Really depends on the situation. But this time, because I've been more careful, right? I don't want to lose too much. You don't want to be going all in that quickly. So I kind of spread it out a little, and then that's why our mean profitable trades did increase a lot. However, it's also important to notice that each day we have no losing trade, no losing trade. Everything has been green, so that also makes this increase by a lot. So our gains increased by close to 1%. I mean 0.7% over here, and then here you have the losses didn't move, right, because we had no losing days. Over here, standard deviation almost increased. It did increase quite a bit. 3.4, which is a lot, but not too much considering we had a 10% day and then 3%. Over here, the S&P barely gained, and its losses increased by a lot. So that's going to help us in the comparison. And then the standard deviation also increased. So, standard deviation is S&P might get close to 1% by the end, hopefully. And then my idea is to lower my standard deviation to maybe around 2, around there. So over here we have the division. I think this is the largest difference we've ever had. I mean, 1.8 and 0.8. This is basically a 1 difference, which is a lot. Over here we have our losses could be -4%, or our gains could be 1.6. So we're talking about a loss that's basically 2% more than what I have right now, or a gain that's 2% less than what I have right now, around there, right? So I mean, and that would make us close to equal the losses to win ratio of SPY. So the ratio is doing really well. That's mostly because I hit it so many times, that high gain amount. So kind of our mean has stood there. But I also don't want to be hitting negative 1.9% losses. You got to be careful there. Over here, so the difference, what I mean, from last week was 0.46, which is it's good, it's average, I'd say, but now it doubled, which is not average. I've probably never seen it this high. Maybe some week, I'm not sure, but this high I don't remember. And our standard deviation, that kind of did increase, and that's kind of as expected. That's the only quote unquote bad part, but in decreasing this is kind of easy. Just don't do a lot of moving or volume trading, and it's fine. So transactions increase quite a bit, because I've been adding onto positions, so then it increases how many transactions I do. So normally if I would go into the trade directly as a 40%, just buy it directly, that would be 1, and then sell, so that'd be another transaction, so it'd be 2. But this time, if I'm going 2020, that's going to double the transactions, because it's going to buy, and then it's going to sell it all together. So it's most likely in those cases it's going to increase. But yeah. And then over here we have the mean day trade. So this increased by a lot too. What I was saying before, buying and then reselling later in the day kind of increases it. And then here we have basically, and so overall portfolio return, 0.554. This is really good. I was, being here, I wasn't expecting it to be so quickly. Now that I'm here, kind of just keep it low risk. You don't want to go obviously back down to -20. So the idea is I'm gonna most likely 90% sure I'll buy 60% SPY, on Monday, and then hold that. And the 40%, I'll keep doing what I regularly do, and we'll see how far it goes. My goal was already this, so this is like a goal of another goal, but my goal would probably be around to be 5 to 10%, I'd say. And so 5% gain would be good. We'll see how SPY is going. SPY could recover a bit. It could also fall more. So we'll see how that moves. I'm not too sure at the moment, but yeah. So great video.